What's going on, Conscious Crew? Giving you guys or giving YouTube some time to warm up these notifications and send them out. Hope you guys are having a wonderful hump day. You guys already know what we're here to get into. And before we do so, I need you guys to go ahead and thumbs up this video until it is absolutely stuck. All right, you guys know that thumbing up not only helps with YouTube's algorithm, but more importantly, it triggers up YouTube's notification system. So when you are thumbing up and pressing like on the live stream, you are literally knocking on the digital door of another Conscious Crew member and telling them to get their arses into the sanctuary. But also, you are telling YouTube that you love this content, and then YouTube goes and does us a favor by then recommending the channel and the live stream to other viewers and consumers who are not yet subscribers and Conscious Crew members. All right, so whether you are a part of the Replay gang or you're actively in the streets as we're speaking, or you are a bush baby, please divulge your thumbs up and your like. It is free 99. It don't cost you nothing, baby, and it's everything over here on this platform. Also, shout out to all of the new subbies. We are at 45.7 and counting. Love you guys a long time. Make sure that you all have your notification bell set to all. And last but not least, please share the stream out to wherever it is you have digital community, whether that be your YouTube community wall, whether that be your Instagram, your Snapchat, your BGC, your Christian Mingle, your Twitter, Tumblr, or your personal OF. I don't really give a damn where you lay the link. Just let them whores to know that we're live and in color. And with no further ado, let's go ahead and push on through Oprah.
I know a place where you can recharge your soul.
Baby, that's Consciouztv.
And in the midst of brokenness, he gon' see your asshole.
Baby, that's Consciouztv.
You gon' heal, you gon' laugh and catch a little shade.
Ooh, girl.
Y'all know he be slaying, y'all better stop playing. Come hear what he's saying.
Ladies and gentlemen.
All right, girl. Y'all already throwing a motherfucking coin on a nigga. Bands to make me dance, honey. Let me go ahead and shout out my baby mother Sabra and my baby mother Dolores for the Audacity piece. A Cash App. If you guys are loving it and you also want to support the cane because we're over here working, honey, you guys know what the PayPal and the Cash App is. It is in the scroll below. Scrolling is also in the description box, and my moderators will also keep those links in rotation. I love you long time. Speaking of moderators, my moderators, something weird had happened about a week or two ago. I have not had the time because I've been busy as hell the past few weeks to get to the bottom of it. So I had to like vainly take away all of the wrenches except for a few until I could get to the bottom of the investigation. So if you don't see your wrench, it's not personal. I just haven't reinstated them because I haven't had time to actually go do what I needed to do. But once I actually get situated, then all of y'all who don't have wrenches will find yourself with your wrenches again. All right. Now, let me speak to everybody in the building. What's going on, Kurt? Hey, Just Be Real. Hey, Sharon, Serenity, Call Girl, the Mrs. Lateria. What's going on, Prince DeQuan? What's going on, Dose ITV? Hey, VS Speaks. What's going on, D. Cell Moore? What's going on, Ian Gardner, Lateria? Hi, Sherry. What's going on, Wildflyer? Amina. What's going on, Yosef? Hey, Boo. What's going on, Knocked Out in the building? Hey, Sin. Hey, Caitlin. Hey, Sherry. What's going on, Sabian? Hey, Miss Williams. What's going on, Sabra? Hey, y'all. What's going on, Carolyn? Hey, Vala. Hey, y'all. What's going on, The Dragon's Den? All right, y'all in the building. Continue to thumbs up, honey, because y'all know YouTube be ripping. All right. Now, I also have one of my favorite co-hosts with me in the building, Taurus the Warlock. What's going on, Taurus?
Man, what's going on? Today is a beautiful day, isn't it?
It is. Have you humped today?
Yes.
Oh, nice.
Amongst other things.
Amongst other things. Okay, so you had a productive hump day. Yeah, put some commas behind that hump. Got it. Nice. Are you ready to unpack this explosive Club Shay Shay interview with one of the coach's favorite and most emboldened comedians, highly decorated, might I say, Miss Monique, honey?
It's a lot. I'm ready, Conscious. Oof.
All right. So y'all know, baby, I need a video of the equipment each piece. Y'all know, baby. Right. He be sitting down there in the headquarters, right? I think this nigga working for the FBI, the CIA, working for the Pentagon, honey. Bad. So you guys know Club Shay Shay he's been on a roll with these interviews. People have been coming through, sitting in what is becoming the chair of truth, honey. Okay, this chair of this brown leather couch is just compelling folk to come forward. And all of the authenticity of it all, baby. So Monique had to sit down and get into some things. Now, she's already getting responses from DL Hughley regarding some of her commentary over on Club Shay Shay. Monique got into her marriage, which we're going to talk about. She got into, some of her beefs with, of course, no other than DL Hughley. She talked Kevin Hart. She talked the Queens of Comedy, the Parkers. I mean, she got into a lot of things. And of course, Monique can't have no conversation without tugging on the wig of Miss Oprah and Tyler Perry's rat tail. So me and Taurus gonna speak about it all, depending on what, how the time looked like. We may drop the link, etc. I'm gonna try to get through what was communicated on the podcast so that we can just get to our commentary and then maybe get into a group discussion. But first, I want to start this off with Club Shay Shay. Shannon Sharpe is a controversial individual himself. His sexuality, keeps coming under fire. He just got a lot going on, child. But something that I did notice, and you tell me if you can see some of this, Taurus, is I noticed in this particular interview that there's something about Shannon Sharpe that gives me Steve Harvey. Like, I think Shannon Sharpe is a very nice guy. He comes off as incredibly down to earth, practical minded, even fun. But there's also something very coony. There's something very shoe shinery. There's a tap dancing energy that's there. And it jumped out of Shannon Sharpe, I felt, a few times throughout the interview. Did you take notice to that, or have you seen that in your observations of Club Shay Shay, or Shannon Sharpe, I should say? You're on mute.
Not really. I'm a huge fan. Like, I've watched him growing up in the NFL. You know, I'm a huge football fan, and I've seen him come through the ranks on like CBS and FS1 and now on ESPN, and now his home podcast is popping. I don't know. It just seemed normal to me, like a normal athlete.
Okay, let me take some of the comments because I see the comments are going up. Dreamin' Edmund says, I agree. He cares about the pale man and jiving for them. Here for Fun says, Shannon holds back because he still wants other people on the show. I noticed he held back about Oprah and Tyler Perry. Lacey says, exactly. Saber says, I can see that. Dreaming says, notice how he keeps saying, I don't want to get canceled. Okay. Sharon also says, oh my God, CTV. Wow, I feel the same way. Tracy, I agree. All right, so we'll probably, do a deeper dive into that as we go into this discussion.
We should. I'll be interested. I want to know the evidence. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because you didn't even really get a chance to really sit in the interview. You kind of had to go through real quick and do a to do a drive through on it. So the first thing I want to get into is Taraji P. Henson. Let's just go ahead and just get that out of the way. She touched on Taraji P. Henson. You guys know that Taraji just co-starred in The Color Purple. You guys know there was a lot of controversy around the publicity behind The Color Purple because Taraji was really vocal about some of the issues on set of The Color Purple, from the trailers not being available to not having food. Also, she had a breakdown on a podcast during one of the promotions for The Color Purple where she spoke about basically a pay wage issue and how she's just practically suffering from battle fatigue because she's been working her ass off, and that's not necessarily showing up through the quality of her pay. She feels like she's still being paid that of an up-and-coming talent, despite, all of the history she's making and all of the substantial and legitimate work that she has done. And you guys know that, of course, Monique wasn't going to let a moment to, stump on, Oprah's broad shoulders, go. So she got in on all the action and also, put her little 1-2 on it, and very much so felt like here was another example of Oprah not being on code, not being pro her black sisters, that this raggediness and dustiness and this blue magic grease energy that Oprah has, that this is just part of her pathology. Well, in this interview with Shannon Sharpe, Monique said that, she had a conversation with Taraji over a decade ago and told her that they needed to speak up, about the mistreatment that was going on when it came to black female talent in Hollywood. And Monique said that Taraji's response was, we just got to be patient and work hard and wait our turn. And, 10 years later, now Taraji realizes that working hard and being patient and waiting her turn is something that isn't going to motherfucking happen. All right. What are your thoughts about Taraji's psychology a decade ago, considering the predicament she has now found herself in 10 years later? And Monique trying to then get her to
mean-
see that, you know, she was trying to prevent this from having to be the case for Black women. But everybody was scared. Nobody wanted to slap an address on it. Everybody was worried about the immediate moment and the immediate win. Nobody was thinking in landscape mode. Everybody had their thinking and priority in selfie mode. And now we're in the same fucking predicament that, you know, we've been in because we ain't standing on business. What you think about that, Tyrus?
You know, this is very interesting to me because you and I just had a conversation on the phone the other day dealing with the system. And I see your point. You know what I mean? I definitely understand the point.
It took Monique to say it. It took Monique to say it for you to see the point. When I was saying the point, I was getting argued down. I was getting wrestled down to the ground. We was in a prison melee, but it took Monique to say it again. Okay, but go ahead. Yes.
Yeah, it's just I can still understand Taraji's point, and I gotta be honest. This is from the outside looking in, because as much as you can go, Monique is right. Monique is right. As a Black woman, that's a tough risk to take. I cannot imagine that predicament. When you're talking about you're already just perception wise at the bottom of the totem pole, and so you really, I hate to say it, you really got to tap dance just to get some sort of movement in your career path. So I get why people go, I mean, a lot of people do that, right? They go, yeah, you're right, but still gotta play the game. It's a shit reality, but a reality nonetheless.
Miss Williams, my beautiful face is resting. I actually just kind of came out of a little self care spa treatment. I just got out the shower. I oiled this body all the way down. You know, give myself an old nasty piece of facial. I got on a green mint facial mask, honey. I'm sitting here in one of my Egyptian cotton robes, and I'm feeling real ladylike, feeling real dainty and feminine, child. But to that point, Tyrus, you know, people would argue that there shouldn't be a game to play. The battlefield should be even. People shouldn't have to, you know, minimize themselves, or shouldn't have to accept mistreatment, or shouldn't be given these biased, unfair rules to play by. That's an injustice all by itself. And we can't do away with that if we're scared, if we're intellectually dishonest, and if we're not willing to risk the present gain for the long-term victory by speaking up, by holding each other down, and by rallying together against these forces that are wrangling all of our necks.
Right. The issue is always going to be, and again, this is just from a group thought perspective, the issue is always going to be speaking out when you already don't own much of anything. Right. So you have no leverage, or you have next to nothing in leverage. The one person, and she brought her up again correctly, Oprah, the one person she looked up to was a huge disappointment, because she's the one person you think, okay, she's actually has the ability. I said this weeks ago talking about Oprah. She's the one person who has the wealth, the influence, the power to speak up, and doesn't. And yet we're expecting other people to follow the path who own next to nothing. That's tough. It's tough.
Yeah, and we're going to touch on Miss Oxtail Renfrey later on in this discussion, because, you know, it's a lot of layers to that situation. So moving on into the interview, Monique also touched on Katt Williams and how, you know, he came through and he blew the lid off, and how she agrees with Katt because she has her own issues with all of those same individuals. However, what I found to be interesting is that she disagreed on Katt's assessment of Kevin Hart, that is, overnight success, who Katt claims, you know, Kevin made a so-called leap of faith and moved to LA and then was in a blockbuster movie, you know, starring the same year. And that's unheard of, you know, that if you're an up and coming talent, and you just go from 0 to 100 that way. It's because you done been plumaged and thrashed in your rear end. That is an unnatural phenomenon. Well, Monique said, to discredit Katt's point, that very much so is a reality, because she herself was an amateur talent, had just moved to LA, was a fresh face in Hollywood, and she was only in LA for 3 months, and the Parkers dropped right in her lap 3 months after being, after moving to LA herself and being in LA. So will Katt Williams claim that Monique has been orgied out by the lesbian boule and sold her damn soul, or what now, Tyrus? What do you think about that?
I don't even know where to go with that, Conscious. Straight up, it's like I don't know. Like, what do you think?
I'm glad that Monique stood on business, and I'm glad that she spoke to that side of the reality, because y'all all know I made it no secret that Katt Williams attempting to weaponize the narrative and the concept of the Illuminati just to justify his dislikement, his dislikement and his lack of support for Ludacris and Kevin Hart. It was lazy, it was disingenuous, and I just would have preferred him to just say, I don't like these niggas for this reason, rather than to do all of the like Marvel cinematic narrative.
Some vague Illuminati crap.
It almost made me lose respect, because I'm just like, look, if you a bad bitch, be a bad bitch, and a bad bitch don't gotta hide behind no narrative. They can stand in how they feel and say, look, I just don't like you, and I think you a sellout, and these are the things, and these are the things that make me feel you are a sellout, and I ain't never seen somebody's success be expedited in the way that yours has been. That didn't happen for myself. That didn't happen for the 47 other struggling comedians that are on tour with me, who have been in this game for 15, 20 fucking years and are still struggling to reach the top of the damn pyramid. And you're going to tell me that you went from 0 to 100 organically? Hell no, my nigga. I don't buy it. I could have respected that, rather than just the whole Illuminati. There was some secret governmental group that sat them both down and told them only one of y'all going to be able to wear zigzag sideburns.
Right. Some crazy seance.
That was so wild and absurd and ridiculous. And it was so clear he was lying, because he couldn't even
have to remember they're comedians at heart, so they're gonna put
no. Because what I'm going to do is, if I'm going to accept that he's a comedian and he was speaking creatively, then I'm going to take the legitimacy off of everything he said. I'm going to then assume that he was just talking shit, and that this was not an interview that was meant to highlight any truth. This was just a moment for Katt Williams to escalate the sales for his current tour, which went up damn near about 100% as a result of his explosive interview, and that this was just a marketing ploy. Or I can join y'all in this group thought attitude that this was about truth. It was about expose. It was about yielding for justice. Now, to Katt Williams' credit, my personal attitude is that he did tell the truth. He called out legitimate things, but he was also pussy popping as well at times. Like, two things can be true at the same time. So I accept a mixture of the two. His interview was bisexual in nature. Moving along. So then Monique got to Kevin Hart. And this was an interesting conversation about Kevin Hart. So Monique had expressed to Shannon Sharpe that when she and her family were down bad, that Kevin Hart wrote them a check that her and her family are forever grateful for. He came through for them in their time of need. She also made it clear that, you know, they paid Kevin the money back with interest out of appreciation for what he did because he didn't have to do it. Speed up. Monique talks about a situation where she was in talks to get her talk show back for season 2, and Kevin had expressed to her personally that he wanted to fully support her, help her produce the show, partner with her on the project, that this was all things confessed and expressed to her in a personal dialogue between her and the Hart. So she had communicated that to the studios in the mall, who she was in negotiations with, who then took what she was expressing about Kevin Hart's interest in partnering with all of them regarding the show as a way to greenlight the idea for season 2, etc. Once they, you know, heard that Kevin Hart was all in, he was co-signing the project. Well, 2 weeks later, after she had had that conversation with Kevin Hart and then had communicated his interest in the project to Endemol, she gets a call from the studio who relates to her that they just got a call from Kevin Hart's manager who said that Kevin doesn't want a damn thing to do with Monique or what's going on, and that they can scrap everything that Monique communicated to them on Kevin Hart's behalf because it was all cap. Now, she claimed that once she got that call, she then called Kevin immediately and claimed that Kevin told her that his management had miscommunicated to the studios or to the production company, etc. And he had claimed that he was going to get the matter resolved and situated, and she never heard back from Kevin Hart. It's been 2 years since he was supposed to resolve that matter and get back with her. Wow. What do you think, Tyrus?
Kevin Hart's kind of reminded me of like the Hillary Clinton of comedy. Like there's always just some shady shit associated with him. Like this is always something and some snake shit going on with him involved. You know what I mean? Like it's just like, I get why Monique had to preface everything. Like, yo, I'm forever grateful for the 10K. But like you verbalized that you was going to be down for these projects. You know what I mean? So if you're going to be, if you're going to be a man of your word, be a man of your word. Like if you're going to commit like that, yo, you got to show up and follow through. And especially because you, Kevin Hart, yeah, you can create the time and space to work on those sort of projects because you Kevin Hart, you know what I mean? Again, this is kind of another dude who like, he's got a lot of money and influence, or at least perceived. And it's just like, what you doing with it except hoarding resources?
Wow. Let me tell you, what we are learning is that so many people have been protected in this industry. Look at how long Monique been sitting on that. Imagine how many other things are going on behind the scenes that we have no knowledge of. And I know firsthand just by being an influencer, you know, I'm just going to shut up and move it along. Monique and Tyler Perry. Okay, now there was a lot going on here. Monique communicated that her grievance was that Tyler Perry acknowledged wrong was done to her and offered her a private apology and promised a public one, as could be heard in the audio that she leaked and made sure to establish was legal. Okay, that she's in a one-party consent state, baby. Okay, check your state laws. But Tyler never made the public apology, and Monique wanted him to correct the wrong that impacted Monique publicly, because when her reputation came under fire, she was blackballed. Okay, and doing so impacted her and her family economically, and it impacted her credibility and character. So she needed him to go on record and tell these folk that Monique isn't crazy, nor was she wrong. Now, she has no problem resolving the matter between him and her, but that would also include a sit down with her husband, who will be in tow. She goes on to say that Tyler nor Oprah will, though, sit down with her and her husband because they pussy, and they know that her husband ain't gonna play with their ass because both Tyler and Oprah like to dance. Okay. She then shouted out baby mother T.S. Madison for hearing the recorded audio and then holding Monique down, denouncing the narrative that T.S. Madison don't fuck with black women because every time T.S. Madison has a spat with black women or she's responding to some black woman that's on her neck, the narrative becomes, here go the transgenders, this is why they shouldn't be allowed in black women's space. They don't really like black women, etc. Monique said that's all cat, bitch. Suck her and T.S. Madison's dick. T.S. Madison is damn sure a team woman, and she knows that anecdotally and verbatim. Okay, she also went on to say that once T.S. Madison had heard the audios and that they had a public conversation, that T.S. Madison went and made a phone call because Monique said, look, if this your friend, you need to chin check your friend for the blatant wrong that they did. And before she knew it, a few days later, Lee Daniels had called her. Because T.S. Madison and Lee Daniels are also friends and have worked together. And that's when her and Lee Daniels were able to reconcile. And Lee Daniels not only apologized to her, but also apologized to her children for what, he participated in that injured, her and her family economically. And T.S. Madison is responsible for that. So Monique says, fuck y'all hoes. Who be talking against the TS? Be talking against the doll, baby. Okay, because y'all could never, baby. All right. Now, she went into more details that I had not heard of before regarding Tyler Perry. She said that she did the movie Precious for cheap because Lee Daniels was broke as hell. So she was already taking a low pay out of favor because, he was her friend, is what friends do for one another. She was contractually obligated to do the press tour for the movie Precious in the U.S. And she had did the Oprah show and many other shows and talk shows and daytime and nighttime shows. She had slammed it, honey. Okay. And once her contract had expired and she had fulfilled her duties and obligations and everything came to completion, she had then gotten some time off from not only the movie and the press run, but from all the other gigs that she had going at the time, and that she wanted to chill during this time off. But during that chill, she gets a call from Lionsgate, who wants her to go to France to promote the movie Precious, and she initially declines. Well, they come back and say, hey, we'll upgrade your room at the Red Roof Inn to a suite at the Marriott. And her husband, who is also her management, who was also in communications with Lionsgate, then asks them, is there a check attached to this offer for Monique to go to France to do this promotion for the movie Precious? Okay. They tell her, no, we don't pay talent for promotion. So then Monique then declines again and says, no, thank you. Now, her and Tyler Perry run into each other soon after. She says that she enters his dressing room. He claps his hands, lights off, baby. And all the niggas in the room scatter like roaches when the lights go on. So there may be some truth to that Christian Keys narrative, baby, that there's definitely some boule bussy gatekeepers in the industry, baby, who yielding some real power and being treated like they are a damn Targaryen out of the damn Game of Thrones script, honey. All right. So she said he claps his hands and everybody runs and exits. And then he and her began a conversation where he attempts to convince her to do the promotion for the movie, because if the movie does well and it wins awards, that her pay could escalate for future roles in Hollywood. Monique says, well, yeah, that's not going to happen. I'm a fat black woman. These pale people ain't trying to pay a black woman according to her damn worth. So she called all cap. So then she propositions Tyler to write the check, since he's so pressed and so convicted and so twisted up about her wanting to go to France. And then he turns around and rebuttals her with saying, I'm not in the business of giving out free money. Well, Monique rebuttals with, I'm not in the business of doing free work. So they hugged it out in wellness and light and love. And then next thing, she ends up on a call with Miss Oprah. All right. And has a convo with Oxtail Renfrey, who was also trying to get her to do the promotions and the press run for Precious over in France. All right. In France. And so during that conversation, Oxtail Renfrey expresses that she herself, has had to draw the line in the sand when it comes to the business and stand up for her worth and everything. So Monique says that she then asks Oxtail Renfrey, what's the difference then between your line in the sand and my line in the sand? Because I'm simply standing on business and on my worth, just like you. She says Oxtail Renfrey then agrees with her, but then later on, Oprah's makeup artist, that I'm going to go on record, because I don't know if y'all done seen Oprah or Oxtail without her makeup, girl. That's not a makeup artist, baby. That's a special X. That's a special X artist, girl. That is not a cosmetic artist, baby. All right. Monique claims that Oxtail Renfrey's makeup artist allegedly tells her that after that convo her and Oxtail had, that he had expressed to Oxtail that, hey, Monique is right. She should be compensated for work that she's not contractually bound to fulfill. And hell, you're rich, you wealthy, you coined up, ain't nothing wrong with your piggy bank. Why don't you pay her? And he claims to Monique that Oxtail told her that I ain't paying her a goddamn thing. So now you have that happening, and this is where the origins of Monique becoming difficult to work with begins, is in her unwillingness to do this free work. All right. Now I'm going to put a pause there and ask you, what do you think about her situation with Tyler and Oprah, and both of them expecting this woman to do this free work? And she made a very good point. She said, it's mighty interesting to me how Miss Tyler Perry can go and give TD Jakes $1 million, but couldn't run me coin to go do a job that he was convinced I should have been doing.
Conscious, I've been trying to go through scenario after scenario in my head right now where I would view sending one of my top actors to France to promote the movie to an international market and start getting paid in euro. I cannot understand what universe where that's called free money and not investment that you're going to get a nasty return on. How's that free money? She's literally promoting a movie she's in, like, yo, this I'm sorry, this comes with the territory. Of course I'm sending my actress to France. Of course I'm cutting the check. Of course she ain't staying at no Marriott. What? I'm gonna have her walking around with all these elite French actors and actresses in this international market. Where the fuck is she staying? Nah, man. Like, again, I think some people got to remember Tyler Perry and Oprah, guys. I know they look like us, but they are corporate. You have to start looking at them as CEOs, corporate executives, like you would any other white dude. I know it sucks to say, but you have to.
Now, things get even interesting because Club Shay Shay asks Monique, have these allegations of you being difficult to work with ever followed you prior to Precious? Monique said no, aside from that one time when she did the movie Almost Christmas, where the producer Will Packer had made some claims about her, which in proper context came from her standing up for other people on the set. So then he too then ended up having some choice words for her. She also said that while on the set of Almost Christmas, that they all almost got blued and blown to smithereens, just like them rich folk in the submersible Titan, because the trailers had a gas leak that then sent half the damn set up into a damn nuclear blaze, where the wigs were burned up, the makeup was burned up, the burgers was burned up, baby. It looked like a damn asteroid crater when it was all said and done. But we ain't gonna talk about that. So But what's interesting though about her saying that was the only instance prior to the Precious situation where she was considered too much, to bear, is that back in 2007, and y'all may not know this, but 2 years before Precious would debut, which would be in 2009, Monique had did VH1's Charm School, featuring the Flavor of Love contestants from season 1 and season 2. Monique was the madame, she was the dean, she was the principal and host of the show for season 1 of Charm School. Well, 2 years ago, Lexi, who was a contestant on VH1's Rock of Love with Bret Michaels, had created her own podcast called Talk of Love, which you all can find on YouTube, where she would bring back contestants from the dating shows on VH1, such as, Ray J of Love, Real Chance of Love, Rock of Love, For the Love of New York, Flavor of Love, etc. Well, Lexi had ended up bringing a producer on to the podcast from Charm School who had made some very scolding accusations against Monique back in 2007 and said that Monique was very difficult, unbearable to work with, that he would never want to work with her again, that she made the set miserable as hell. The accusations were so damn bad that Lexi actually edited out those talking points in the YouTube videos from that producer. But if you listen to the podcast on Apple, you can actually hear the uncensored version of the interview and hear the producer's remarks. So what do you think about the fact that those narratives were actually there about Monique from those who had worked with her in the industry prior to Precious?
I think, it's multiple things can be true. Like, everything Monique is saying about, the elites in this industry is true. And sometimes these actresses are kind of difficult to work with every now and then, right, Conscious? Like, we all know the high-head actors and actresses that exist. That's nothing new. You know what I mean? Just because you're speaking out against the system doesn't mean you're not one of them. Like, one of the hotheads, you know what I mean? It's so... And I think, too, part of it is you ever get so frustrated that you start lashing out at the wrong people? Because all the people on set, at the end of the day, this is a budget issue. This is a producer, what they doing with the funding. The people on the set, like the camera guys and the lighting dudes, they ain't got no control over this shit. But unfortunately, they're catching some of that blowback, on the set. So I guess sometimes you earn a reputation just because You know, sometimes people catch friendly fire, you know what I mean? But we shouldn't, while that can be addressed, it's also true that we should be addressing the big issue, which is the pay inequality and just the lack of respect overall coming from the elites.
Yeah, I also think that claims like this need to always be unpacked with both people in the room, because I think that somebody being so-called difficult is a very subjective interpretation of a thing. You know, for all we know, Monique was standing, rightfully so, over injustices that were taking place on the set. You know, so, you know, this producer, you know, it's his personal experience of Monique. I would love to hear both Monique and this producer in the same room together, unpacking what he's calling difficult, miserable, unbearable, etc. And hear,
but Conscious, that's typical workplace stuff. That's got nothing to do with the bigger picture. You know what I mean? Because, like, for example, you and I can have a huge disagreement, but we both agree that the cut YouTube takes from you guys is astronomical. It's just bad. It's horrible. It should not be happening. It should not be that way, right? And so, yeah, Monique could be difficult, but again, like, there's plenty of actors and actresses who can be difficult. I'm sure people think Angelina Jolie is freaking difficult sometimes. That don't stop her from advocating at the freaking UN and shit like that, right? You know what I mean? So, you know, you ain't gotta like a lot of times we get so caught up with this likability, this respectability thing. Like, sometimes you don't have to like the people you work with and still understand their bigger point.
absolutely. But in this case, it does matter, because Hollywood is probably a good 30% talent and 70% politicking. So what happens to your reputation impacts your economics. It impacts the potential of your longevity in the business. So unfortunately, these rumors and narratives don't just exist, you know, in a vacuum where it just ends up being somebody's experience and life goes on, but it actually translates on the other person's side, which is why Monique, you know, was so angry for so long and is still looking for accountability from people who have not apologized and taken accountability for the bags they stopped from the turmoil that they costed her and her family as a result of making, you know, her journey in this business hell.
Right. And for me, it says a lot in all the wrong ways that you can't do the right thing and stand up and apologize.
And it's fucked up that you can't. And it's fucked up that you can't stand up for the right thing without being penalized.
It bothers me too that you're in a position to break the cycle, and instead you're enforcing, you know, female rap elite in the chat brought it up, like they want you to be brainless when you're black. And what sucks is that our black elites enforce that same stereotype and that same crap on us when they're supposed to break the cycle and finally put us in a new light. It's disgusting.
What's going on, the female rap elite? Hey, Brandon. Hey, y'all. It's good to see y'all here. Love y'all. So, and continuing on, because, baby, things continue to get rather interesting. All right. Now, she went into Miss Oxtail Renfrey. Now, she said her issue with this bitch is the same issue she got with Tyler Christian Keys Perry, which is that there's no accountability. Says that she continues and gonna continue to speak about Oxtail because Oxtail speaks about her. Says Oxtail is claiming to be 70 years old and 60 pounds lighter thanks to Ozempic, who can sleep at night because she's never hurt anyone, is full of fucking shit. That Oxtail Renfrey need to stop her bitchcraft. said that as long as Oxtail continues to speak about her privately, she'll discuss that collard green cornbread mac and cheese cooking bitch publicly, because Oxtail has been a silent watcher of the unjust things committed against her black female peers, and also has participated in the victimization of her very own peers. She recounted a time where she had to give an Oscar speech while Oxtail Renfrey was in the audience, and there was a standing ovation for Monique, but Oxtail was squirming in her damn chair harder than a hooker during Bible study, baby. Then she said after that, Lee Daniels had offered Monique the star role in the movie The Butler, but at the same time, Lee didn't have no power nor money, so Oprah then got it and snubbed her position and ended up starring in the role that was initially given to and accepted by her. She says Lee Daniels also had offered her the role of Richard Pryor's grandmother in his autobiography, but Oprah also has snatched that role from her as well. Says that Oxtail Renfrey has overstepped and stepped on Monique the whole way from the behind the scenes to getting involved in her family's business, that, you know, she's been out of order, as Godmother Iyanla would say. The brunt of the issue with Oxtail is that Oxtail had called her about her brother coming on to the Oprah Winfrey show to apologize to Monique for sexually violating her. But what Oxtail Renfrey had left out of the conversation was telling her that the rest of her goddamn ancestors was also going to be on that stage, including her daddy, her mother, etc., who was all going to be in the building. So she thought that Oxtail Renfrey was integral, honest, and loving, that they had a sisterhood, only to turn around in the same breath acting like she cared about the way Monique felt, only to turn around and spit in her face for a click and a fucking view. What you think about that, Tyler?
She turned the situation into a Jerry Springer episode. It's pathetic. There's no justification for that. It's inexcusable. It's diabolical. It's disgusting.
Baby, if there's a hell, Oxtail Renfrey gonna bust it wide open. That's what I know. She gonna bust it wide open, baby. That is one two-faced motherfucker. From the way that big fro bitch did the Jacksons, how you gonna get an exclusive with the King of Pop, who trusted you with his story, brought you into his home? You brought in all them goddamn 10-foot tall street lights, burning off his damn Maybelline, singeing his damn hairline apart, girl, and he graced you with an interview. And then you also turned around and continued to try to act nice toward the Jacksons and gave LaToya Jackson a show on OWN Network, only for you to turn around and bring on two of his accusers who had already been debunked regarding their allegations, which was Wade, no dancing ass Robson, and that other mayonnaise ass weirdo. And then come out with the Surviving Neverland documentary, which the Jacksons and Team Michael had to protest against in order for that to never see the light of damn day. Then it was her selling Russell Wilson down the damn Nile River after she had done engaged in a friendship with that man, brought him on a Super Soul Sunday, only for her, in an attempt to deflect from everything that was happening to her good Judies, Jeffrey and Harvey, to try to bring publicity to an old SA case that Russell had, like back in the late 90s, early 2000s, that had already been resolved in and out of court. Miss Oxtail was going to bring the woman on and have her jive up all this shit again, and never even afforded Russell a phone call the same way that Oxtail did not afford Monique an honest conversation about who all was going to be coming on to that show. And it's just been one thing after the other. Not to mention that on one hand, she claims to be pro-SA victims, but then also never, ever, 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 ever acknowledge any of the bullshit that her two best friends, Harvey and Jeffrey, were caught up in. But wanted so desperately to highlight the allegations against Michael and the crimes of R. Kelly. Always wanted to put her foot on the black community's neck, but never, ever, ever, ever did any of those specials for all of the essaying that was going on against children in the Vatican and in the Catholic Church. And that's why she's looked out as a sellout, and there's some type of a racial bias when it comes to Oprah. Also, the fact that she never highlighted any of that essay that was going on in her African all-girls school, where the head dean, the head female dean of the school, was also molesting and essaying the female students. You didn't see a goddamn surviving oxtail rent-free school for the African gifted published. You ain't never seen a damn show on that. You ain't never seen her ass put a goddamn highlighter marker to those things. She been mighty selective, honey. But you know what we gonna do, Tyrose? We gonna just move it along. Now, Monique also got into her and DL Hughley, who also has responded. We'll get into his response, honey. Now, Monique had started with DL as by saying that her issue with DL started when she had did his show. Now, he wasn't in initial attendance or whatever, but you know, she was doing a show with some of his compadres, particularly this co-host by the name of Jasmine. Okay, and at the end of this interview that Monique says went real well, Jasmine had asked Monique if she wanted to play a game of Would You Rather, and Monique had obliged. Okay, now the Would You Rather was, would you rather your husband Sydney sleep with Lee Daniels with a condom, or sleep with Corrine Deep Throat and Steffens without one? Now, Monique got very offended and was taken aback by all of these shenanigans. So she had caught DL Hughley to express her distaste for the questions that she was asked, and claims that DL Hughley was standoffish in that conversation, could give a fuck less, and that his rebuttal to her frustration was, that's just how we do. Okay? And then claims that shit got so damn ugly that her and Sydney had to send them hoes a cease and desist, and that's why the show never saw the light of day and never fucking aired. Now, I got a thought or two about this, but I'm gonna let you give your thoughts on whether you think DL Hughley was wrong, or do you think Monique was out of order?
Can I sit on that? Can you give your thoughts, please?
My thoughts is, you know, I'm Team Monique. I agree with 99% of it, but this would be one instance where I'm going to say that Monique overreacted, and that her reaction was controlling, and it was ill-informed, because to DL Hughley's point, if you had watched his show prior to coming on, then you would know that these are segments. You would know that this is the game that comes at the end of the show. Okay? Now, if you didn't do your homework, that's not DL's fault. That's not the team's fault that you ended up in a situation that you did not completely understand. Okay. On
So,
top
so
of
just to
that,
clarify,
hold on. On top of that, you were also asked if you wanted to participate in a segment. That is a segment on their show. So you gave the green light to be gagged. The game is called Would You Rather. The whole crux of Would You Rather is a gag show. Like, Would You Rather, the game itself is about the extremity, the absurd. It's about putting the participants in hypothetically ridiculous and absurd situations. So, if you also didn't know quite what Would You Rather was, that's also not the fault of the cast. It's also not the fault of D.L. Hughley. This is a segment on his show. The game Would You Rather in and of itself is about ridiculous hypotheticals. You greenlit it, and you seem to not have done your research and said yes, and then you got gagged over what is a game. This is imaginative. These are hypotheticals.
Right.
Once again, DL is a comedian. You are a comedian. This is what they do. The whole point is supposed to lighten up the mood, have a great laugh with each other, end an interview on a great note and move on. So in this instance, I feel like Monique overreacted. She was ill-informed, and then she blame shifted, and it was out of order. What's going on, Spill It Boy? What are your thoughts?
I have actually a clarifying question. Is it possible that she perhaps reacted to the fact that it seemed like an oddly specific, like, I don't know, like an oddly specific, would you rather? You get what I mean? Like, it almost came off like a hit piece. And then the fact that she expressed disdain for it, and then they just continued on with it, and like it got worse to the point where
it didn't continue on with it. It was like the game had already been agreed to, so she reacting after the fact.
Right. Okay, so I agree with you to a point. I just think, like, sometimes when you're putting your loved ones, like your husband and stuff like that, or your spouse in there, sometimes people are gonna get a reaction like that. You know what I mean? I get what you mean, but
these were two comedians. You're talking about a woman who has sat on stage and talked about her sex life and said that anal sex was so goddamn bad that her eyebrows were burnt the fuck off in the process of her trying to get plumaged into her goop. You're talking about a woman who, is outrageous. Monique is an outrageous comedian herself. She talks about sex. True. She talks about her sexcapades. She gags and roasts the audience. She talks about skinny bitches, fat bitches, all bitches, good dick, little dick, no dick. So this was all on brand. We can like Monique. That's okay. But let's be in the business of telling the truth. Like, Monique, what's wrong? And it's okay. That don't mean we don't like her. That don't mean that everything that Monique said and her posture in every other situation is now null and void. In this instance, Monique ass overreacted. She turned into Karen Monique. You said yes to this game. If you didn't know what it was, you should have forfeited getting involved. You are a comedian. What comedians do is jive each other. You got real press, but the nature of the game is not going to change because of your sensitivities. The nature of Would You Rather is all about ridiculousness. It's literally like a prankster questionnaire game, right. So if
I agree with that.
So if you sensitive, if all of that, this ain't the game for you. But you the one who said yes.
Look, I agree with that. I'm trying to just get to the bottom of why she would react that way, and I have to remember that at the beginning of this interview, she was talking about how she was so confused about why so many people were degrading her husband that would stand behind her and support her when she did all of these things, right? and he would have her back 100%, and people would say some nasty things. So she's probably just really hyper defensive when it comes to her husband. You know what I mean?
But once
so
again,
yeah, she did take the L. I'm just
and
trying
that's
to
cool
understand
though.
why she felt like that.
And that's cool though. But that's still a projection, and you can't blame shift. You can't blame shift onto the DJs. You can't blame shift onto DL. That's when you have to have the emotional intelligence to say, you know what? Right now, my insecurities and my triggers are jumping out at me. I'm the one that's creating the moment. You know, let me take responsibility for my triggers, because these people don't know that I'm triggered. You know, we're just having a good time. They asked for my consent to participate in this ridiculous ass questionnaire. Once I was in there, I was getting triggered the fuck up, but that's not on fault of these folk. So Monique just lacked the emotional intelligence to recover and to take responsibility for the predicament that she had put herself in. And this was not a situation that called for you to call HR and to call DL and to basically scold him about a segment that is not particular and that is not specific to you, but it's specific to all the goddamn guests who come on to his show. It's almost like signing up on Ashton Kutcher's Punk. It's like you should expect to be bumped. Like you don't get to sign up for this shit and then turn around and be Karen Monique. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, I agree. She took the L on that one. I mean, just
moving along. Now she did go on to say that DL trashed her and her husband for years after, had mocked her attempts publicly to get equal pay raise, etc. Then came the most recent controversy, I think last year, which was this joint comedy tour that both DL and Monique was on, where Monique had claimed that she was hired as the headliner for the tour and she was supposed to perform last as a result of being a headliner. And she said that she also had made it her business, since she knew he was going to be in the building because they're, you know, touring together, to get her lit back. So she damn well dragged his ass during her stand-up segment because she wanted him to hear every damn last syllable, every last damn vowel. She wanted his ass to be fully present, front row for all the Gag Nation, baby. And she didn't give a damn about how nobody feel about her getting her lick back, because it was justified as far as she's concerned. Essentially, she said that all these people she got beef with are messy, troublemaking, third world demons, and that she only has problems with the messy ass people. It's not that she's the issue, it's the system, it's the gatekeepers, it's the players that are the problem, and says that these ninjas are cooning for sitting down in front of white folk and dragging her like the sellouts they are. Any thoughts?
no. No.
Okay.
Do you any thoughts? Do you got any thoughts?
Look. It's fair game, baby. I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
you've been providing commentary about me for years. So let's play the commentary game. So all is fair in love and war. So I think, you know, it was fairly played. Now, Monique went on to say that she's not bitter, she's determined. Okay. Now, things about to get interesting because, baby, you know, once again, we love our faves and we have our faves over here, baby, but we are an equal opportunity dragulation platform over here, girl. So even our faves get that work. Now, she touched on this whole bonnet controversy that she was caught up in a few years ago. You guys know that we had our foot on her neck for those respectability politics, okay? Where she was going at the girls for going out in public, wearing their pajamas and wearing their bonnets, and was claiming that if she saw any black women in this type of aesthetic, girl, that she was going to be tapping y'all on y'all bald-headed ass shoulder, girl, and, you know, letting y'all know that y'all need to get it together. All right. She said that she don't apologize for it. Because what's the message that these bonnet wearing assholes are sending to the little black girls who are looking? That it's not right to go out in public looking like that. It's an act of indignity. What are your thoughts about Monique's feelings about black women, needing to have a more dignified appearance when pooching around publicly?
Oof, that's tough. And especially because Monique comes from a different generation where I guess a little bit more conservative in nature with how women dress compared to now. As far as how people dress in public, man, people dress. I mean, the kids are going to school in pajamas and Crocs and what they call it, sports mode and shit like that. Oh my god, man! Like, I really don't care. Like, but again, that's me on the outside looking in. What are your thoughts?
Everybody knows how I feel about respectability politics. Respectability politics, I've never saved black people. When black people were in their Sunday's best, and when we created Black Wall Street, and black men were walking around in 6-piece damn tuxedos, and black women were in stockings and had their hair done and high buns, that these niggas was out here, the Ku Klux Klan and the American government was still out here bombing churches, killing little black girls, lynching niggas, etc. So this idea that black people can do something about the way other groups feel about them is not even historically accurate. It's just insane. Respectability, the politics have never saved black people. Our history bears that out. And I understand Monique having a personal preference, but my mama always taught me that if you ain't funding it, you ain't bothered by it. So unless you willing to pay these black women to dress differently and publicly when you see them, then you need to just mind your damn business and worry about the gray hair in your hairline, because ain't nobody talking to you about their personal opinion of that gray. Ain't nobody talking to you sometimes about how those wigs be given very much so Kim Burrell, those half wigs be given very much so Monique Burrell. Okay? You also are a woman, the audacity, a fat black woman, as Monique likes to remind us of, who has been prohibited by the respectability politics of racism and anti-blackness. So then how could you then be a perpetuator of those same respectability politics when you know better? So, of course, I disagree. I think it's ridiculous. Monique is deaf-toned to the issues, and she just needs to mind her motherfucking business, because if black women have, in fact, been the least protected, then the last thing that they also need is you on their ass about headwear and a motherfucking pajama set. Let black women rest in their motherfucking femininity.
Just from the outside looking in, I do find it very interesting and unique, the classism that's going on within black women demographic. There's definitely a classism battle going on right now. It's interesting.
Erica P says, this ain't Trump school. That part, baby. You got the wrong cast, Monique, baby, okay? This is not an elimination process, boo, okay? If I want to pooch through a communal space like an airport or a grocery store, dress all the way down, then that's what it is. Pajamas are not illegal to wear in public. It's an attire. So if I want to dress all the way down to go do something mundane, like pay my bills or drop my kids off, or run errands, then why you so invested? Baby? Because you ain't cutting no reparations. you ain't cutting no checks on the 1st or the 15th, boo. Since you so invested in the well-being of black women, baby, can we talk about some shit that's gonna really leverage black women? Can we talk about them checks that you want Miss Oprah and Tyler to cut, baby? Can we talk about something that's gonna really help black women? Moving along. She touched on Sydney. Now the baby now.
Oh,
I hope we do get to drop the link because baby, you know, her marriage to her ninja has been a very, very hostile point of contention, baby. She says that Sydney has taught her how to be a lady, how to have a humanity for people, taught her how to be a queen and knows her worth. Because without him, she'd be in an all-women's prison facility by now. She stated that her husband has showed her true love and stated that the criticism she gets for involving her husband is due to the reality that Black women are the most unprotected. So seeing a Black woman with an army, seeing a Black woman with an Avenger is the reality that Black women are expected to stand alone and to stand quietly at that. So her marriage triggers this expectation that no matter how much Black women contribute, no matter what their experiences are, that ultimately Black women are expected once again to stand alone. And she ain't going for it, baby. So she will remain giving y'all her dick to suck as it relates to her nigga. What do you think about Monique saying that her man has raised her like a Doberman picture, that he has taught her how to be a lady? Beyonce also echoed these same sentiments to Jay-Z, that he taught her how to be a woman. Some people have found these comments very off-putting. It's given very pygmisha. It's given very mammified down. What are your thoughts about a woman speaking like that in a patriarchy?
Because I bet if you asked him the same question, vice versa, he'd say the same thing. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, I can't sit here and act like about to be 16 years of marriage. My wife hasn't enhanced my ability to be a dope ass man. You know what I mean? Like, I can't sit here and be like, nah, she ain't had shit to do with that. You get what I mean? And then from Monique's situation, she probably feels like, yeah, if it weren't for him, I'd be in prison. You know, that's real and that happens. And at the end of the day, man, I really hate the criticism because, you know, society will complain about men not standing beside their wives, but then get mad when we see men stand beside their wives. Like, yo, that's why I don't give a fuck, man. I'm gonna stand beside my wife, because at the end of the day, I'm laying in bed with her, no one else. I married her, no one else. You know what I mean? Like, if I say I'm gonna support my wife, this is what the fuck it looks like. And some people just be hating on that marriage because unfortunately they don't know what real love looks like. They don't know what it's like to actually have a dude have your fucking back, to actually watch your six. Yeah, to have an Avenger, to really have that Captain America holding it down. Some people don't know what that's like, man. That's unfortunate.
I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say that I think I understand that Monique means well, and that what she's trying to accomplish and what she's articulating about her husband is that this has been a partnership for her that has been enlightening, that she is with somebody who has taught her some things, somebody that she believes has made her better, somebody who has added to her understanding of not only the world, but her place in it and her worth. She feels like her husband brings something more than just sex and a body to the table, but that he brings an intellect, he brings wisdom, and that she feels grateful and forever indebted to him. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And I believe that that's the way partnership should be. Partnership should be completely reciprocal. If you're in a partnership of any kind, man, woman, man, woman, that our partner should be bringing something more to the table than just a body to keep us warm at night, that there should be a learning, there should be a growing, there should be the spiritual connection, there should be, you know, all of this growth and evolution that's happening. But I also understand why women are triggered by some of the choice words she used, because it just sounds like it's okaying the patriarchy that is unaliving and sabotaging women in that system. And so words like training me, raising me, even terms like daddy, just are going to be a trigger point for those who understand that oftentimes men have for too long expected women to be a helpmate or to be subservient to them, and have misused and abused women who were willing to play that role, or even had no choice but to sometimes hold that role down for the sake of survival. So it is a trigger, because we aren't completely out of a patriarchy yet. There's still a sexism that's there, and we're going to get into that when we get into the things she revealed about the kings of comedy, you know. So I understand the criticism back to Monique. I think that she could do better to clean up her language. I think she could read the room and can understand.
But sometimes when you're defending, especially black men in public, you already lost. You're already in a no-win situation anyway. So cleaning up the language isn't gonna do anything. I have to be honest, like a lot of black men specifically, we get beat up for no reason. You know what I mean? Like, yes, there's a lot of shit we could clean up, but then there's a lot of shit like this dude stands behind his woman and is still catching heat. Why? And then you expect the love of his life, Monique, to not, like, what would you do in that situation if your man didn't come to your defense? Y'all would be like, oh my fucking God, you don't love me, you don't believe in me, you ain't backing me up. But when Monique's man does it, it's a fucking problem. But again, it's because a lot of the people that got a problem with the conscious, they don't know what having somebody's back really fucking looks like. They don't know what actually being a ride or die entails. It's a thing people say, but they don't know what that shit actually looks like. And so when they actually see a black man holding down his black woman, that shit's fucking, it's like aliens. They don't know what to do with it. And what do people do? What they don't know, they scared of it, and then they get defensive. You know what I mean? But no, there's a lot of great black men. There's a lot of great black men out here.
And Lisa Love agrees and says that it triggers a lot of women who haven't had a real damn man. Yep. So, and Monique did get into other conversations in the interview about why, because it's a multi-layered situation. It's funny that Monique is team respectability politics, but also is injured by them at the same time, because she talks about the fact that the things that contribute to her having a strong man is the fact that a lot of black women haven't had real men or quality men to begin with, so they don't even know what that looks like, or can't even hold appreciation for a woman who has found that. Then there's that expectation that black women are supposed to stand alone, etc. But to your point, you know, this is also at the same breath what the culture claims black women need, you know, and black women are wanting
that narrative. I take, as a man, I take responsibility, because we put that out there without being clear. Because everything, let's say all the trigger words that you was discussing, right? Especially when, you know, we always talk about that red pill and they talk about the helpmate and stuff like that. At the end of the day, guess what Monique isn't doing? She's not cooking and cleaning, right? She's out doing her specials, her comedy specials. She's out doing movies and TVs and stuff like that. Her man ain't got her cooped up in the house, not doing shit, just pregnant all the time, right? She gets to live her dream. He's still her husband, her partner. They going through life together, right? So clearly, you can do all of this traditional thing and as a woman still live your dreams too, and your man absolutely be fine with it. Clearly it's possible. You know what I mean?
Tanya says, I was Monique about my husband and it backfired. Now my family says, I told you so. Stop putting him up as God. Some people do believe that Monique is idolizing and idol worshiping and overly, unnecessarily, falsely pedestalizing her husband, which once again is a assumption. That's an interpretation. That doesn't necessarily mean that's what Monique is doing. I understand that's what people experience it as, but to your point, I don't in and of itself find anything wrong with Monique always being willing to slap respect and slap honor on her partner. Because if you are in what you believe is a healthy partnership, this is what healthy people sound like about each other. I love my partner. I revere my partner. I respect my partner. My partner brings a lot into my life. You know, and it's okay. And to Monique's point, Monique is having that conversation and making those type of and putting those type of accolades on her man at a time where it seems that societally Black women are very disappointed in Black men. So yeah, it could be some backlash there because it's a lot of hurt women who haven't experienced that, or who don't believe that Black men are that, or who believe that, you know, Monique is only saying those things because she's a pick-Misha. But to her point, like, my man is not just my man, he's also my manager. So y'all telling me to keep my man out of business he's hired to be in is also insane. Like, y'all just don't want to accept the fact that I'm a fat Black woman who got a good dick ass man who goes all out and who will go to war for his woman, and you lonely hoes not gonna make me feel guilty about it.
Conscious, the majority of anybody, what would we as human beings rather have? A real nice, decent career in the industry, but in a happy, loving marriage, or a great, iconic career in the industry and be married 3-4 times and miserable? The majority of people without that fame, what would they choose? And she got that. She got a really good, great career. Maybe not iconic like some of the other greats, but people gonna remember her. But more importantly, she's got a happy life and a happy marriage and a man that absolutely holds her down. Like, that's a straight up win. I thought we were supposed to be supporting and promoting that.
Well, as long as Monique got breath in her, she will be. Okay. Now she did get into Tiffany Haddish. She called Tiffany Haddish basically a lonely drunk ass bitch for publicly stating that she's happy that she don't have a husband like Monique's. Monique said that maybe she wouldn't be out there being accused of being a pedophile and crashing into mopeds and guardrails and manifesting more charges than Harvey Weinstein if she had a damn good man to keep her Black ass out of trouble. Any thoughts you have about that?
She tore her ass up. Like, I just think about all the times, and I know everybody in the chat got that experience. Like, you had your girl or your man, oh, you call them when it was dicey. You know you can't fucking drive anywhere, and he or she the only fucking person that gonna pick up that phone and pick you up. Yep. And when you ain't got that person, well, you Tiffany Haddish. You know what I mean? DUI, mugshot all over the fucking internet. Sucks.
Monique, gather her motherfucking ass. That's all I got to say. Gather. Okay. Dragged accordingly. All right. She also had talked about how she feels that she has personally transcended having to audition, that she has one of the highest accolades and awards in acting history. So why should she have to audition? At this point, she is an offer only woman. What are your thoughts about Monique saying she shouldn't have to fucking audition? If you outsource her for the role, that should be it. That should be all. She shouldn't have to audition. At this point, at this point, all of her Captain Crunch badges on her blazer, baby, and her trophy from the Oscars should be speaking for her. Clearly, she's capable. Clearly, she has the bandwidth. She has the versatility. She has the talent. At this point, why should she have to come in and audition? You chose her, bitch. So at this point, just make the offer, and then let's just get on with it.
Yo, even some of the greatest actors still have to audition for certain like superhero roles. Like, just because you got the accolades doesn't mean you automatically fit this role, even if you initially, even if the casting crew is like, yo, this person seems like they be dope. Like, just for example, from the comic book perspective, everybody initially thought Ben Affleck was going to be a shitty Batman, and everybody was like, yo, this dude's actually pretty good. When Christian Bale was cast, people were like, Christian Bale, how? Nailed it with those 3 Batman movies. Like, sometimes you just gotta audition for the role. Like that right there. Oh, I get what she means, but in a typecast role, sure, maybe you don't have to audition for that. But if you're doing like some of these like blockbuster roles or these big budget movies and stuff like that, yeah, there's no shame in auditioning. Like, you're still an actor trying to be. You're still trying to be the perfect actor or actress for this role. You know what I mean? Like.
Yeah, that was one of those things where I felt like Monique may have a misunderstanding of the dynamics. Like, and that 2 things can be true at the same time. Like, I can look at your work and look at your talent and believe that you are great for the role. However, and it's okay for me to go outsource you because I believe from afar that you are great for the role. However, there's no way to really determine that until you have a reading or a audition process and we see you flex in the role, because you in fact may fall flat for whatever reason in the damn role. When it comes to playing characters and personifying emotions, and like you said, you know, depending on the script and what it is and what it requires, etc., those are not things that can be assumed just because you know a person has a great talent. Just like Celine Dion wouldn't do justice on a lot of Whitney Houston songs. Right, Whitney Houston wouldn't do justice on a lot of Beyonce songs. It's like just being talented, being incredibly talented doesn't mean that you now have a universal talent that will just translate in any given situation and circumstance. No. So 2 things can be true at once. I can handpick you because based upon your body of work and me being aware of your capability and capacity as a talent is one thing. But yes, we do need to audition so that we can once again just see what you give to this particular character. Nobody's going to pay you ahead or based upon an assumption or legitimize you in the role off an assumption and then get there and realize that you're not giving the character what the director, what the producer entailed, and then have to go out of their way to undo that pay to then open up audition. Like, it's ridiculous. So I do feel like, unfortunate, I feel like Monique has a misunderstanding of what it means to be highly decorated and what it means to have an Oscar, and her thinking that being asked to audition is an insult or is something that is a negative thing just tells me that she's either uninformed or Monique, you know, her arrogance and ego is getting the best of her.
Sometimes Conscious, you know what I mean? Like, you get used to that, you know, that opera house lifestyle going, you know, sitting there, not understanding shit that's going on, but you're there just to be seen. Sometimes it gets to your head a little bit. You know what I mean? It happens.
Moving along. Last but not least, she got into the Queens and Kings of Comedy, and she spoke about how comedian Samora, who was one of my favorite comedians from the Queens of Comedy set, gave up being a headliner for her because Samora personally felt like Monique's that her script was, and her set was better for the closing act than hers was. And Monique went on to appreciate Samora for not having an ego and actually wanting what was best for the show and making it about the art. So shout out to Samora for, having a creative idea and not having an ego about doing what needed to be done for the show to be cohesive. She also talked about how there were also pay wage issues, not only with the Parkers, but also with the Queens of Comedy, and that she had to make them pay her in cash because they kept shortchanging her on her deposits, and that she was about to quit if they didn't get her money right. Every last single dollar, down to the damn 52 cents that she had been contractually promised she wanted, and they were playing on her top, and they had to start paying her motherfucking ass that real life physical green. Because she then also talked about how the Kings were actually treated very differently on the tour, that the Kings were given limousines and Rolex watches while the Queens pulled up in vans and Fashion Nova dresses. And she says that she would basically never do a joint tour again because some things are better left where the fuck they remain. What do you think about this sexism she's speaking about while also being the queen of respectability politics?
I don't care what somebody says about someone else. The moment the check is not being cut properly, you fucking raise hell. You start flipping tables. You start destroying shit until the fucking money is deposited in your account like they said it was going to be deposited in your account. You do not play with other people's money. I do not care who the hell you are. And again, with this whole inequality thing, again, I get it. The guys are going to be a bigger draw as far as crowd and funding and promotions than the women are in general. But those were still really big acts. And at the end of the day, you can do better than a goddamn glorified short bus for the ladies. You could get them limos and champagne and all that dope shit. And I'm sorry, you could like cut the fucking check. Like I get it based on marketed and everything, right? If you want to say they shouldn't, the check isn't as big as the guys, okay, cut the fucking check. Because too many times, Conscious, they go, well, women don't earn as much to then justify not getting the check at all. AKA Monique's not even getting the money that was in her fucking contract. You get what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Nah, fuck that, man. No. I'm sorry, that pisses me off, especially like finances. Nah, bro. Nah. You playing with money, man. That's a different scenario.
Mm-hmm. Wow. On a lasting note, she wrapped up the interview with a really inspiring message, which was don't play yourself as Black people. Don't let others play you. Fight for your worth. Never let it be defined by enough. Nobody should be getting you to settle for enough. You need to fight for it all. All. I can get with that. You think we should drop the link? Let some folk come up here and rendezvous. We're going to drop the link, you guys, and let you guys come up here and speak to some of the things that you guys heard on the podcast, heard in the interview, your thoughts.
And real quick, guys, while Conscious is bringing people up, remember what 2 Chainz said. At some point, he had to stop giving people verses for free. He had to start charging people because they was taking advantage. I understand, like, you trying to, get a movement going. You're just trying to, do the right thing, great intentions. But at some point, especially when you're doing big things like that, people need to pay up. Especially when they telling you in advance they're going to pay up. They need to pay up.
Pay up, honey. Treat people accordingly, or else, baby. Look, what's done in the dark. This is the era of coming out of the closet, baby. This Rainbow City in this era, honey. This is the age of Aquarius, honey. So everybody coming out of the closet, honey. The truth is making a grand debut. I just dropped the link for anybody who want to come and speak about the interview, things that Monique said, her marriage, the industry, etc. Honey, what it was given. We can read some comments too. A Trini girl says, hell, Miss Fizzle got a better check on her magic bus, but on her magic school bus than Monique, and that's a whole cartoon. My God, today. Moesha says, should have gave the amenities based on talent if they were going to pick and choose, because Cedric and Afro Wig would have been riding in buckets. Ooh. All right. Miss Wright says they're all playing on her top, discrediting her talent. Trini girl says some more. It's the funniest. One mama said, let me do my set. I'm out. I love her. Willie says Monique is used to fighting. I'm going to give her some more time to find grace. All right. Millionaire says, come on in the room, CTV. That is the problem. If a lot of women will stand in the mirror and do the work, maybe they will attract a good man. I have friends, and trust me, I see why they are single and bitter. God damn. What do you think about that? I have issues with the term find a good man for a plethora of reasons, but I'm gonna let you respond to some of that, Tyrus.
First off, no one should be actively looking for love. I'm not saying you don't go to the club and the bars and the wherever you like to go to see men or women or whatever like that. What I'm saying is you shouldn't be waking up being like, I'm gonna go find me a husband today, or I'm gonna go find me a wife today. You know what I mean? Like that stuff should come like organically, naturally. It just kind of happens. And a lot of women, guys, I know it's tough, but I'm telling you, man, you crack that shell of these women, bro, it's worth it. It's worth it. I know some of them got a tough exterior. You know what I mean? It's definitely a wall. You know, Trump's envisioned wall, but you can break it down. And when you do, it'll be worth it. That's my response to that.
My issue with find a good man is that is literally statistical impossible at this point. There are more black women than there are black men, for one. So black women outnumber black men. So literally, there's not literally.
Hold on. Out of control of this country. Play the game like the guys.
You be breaking my train
from Argentina. You know what I mean? You good? Yeah.
Okay, please don't break my train of thought, because I literally like be in my divinity. There are more black women than there are black men. So it's not even mathematically possible that every black woman ends up with a black man. When you flood in all of the other statistical factors, such as the black men who are ex-cons, the black men who fill up and make up the prison industrial complex, the black men who are same gender loving. When you look at all of the other qualifying factors that also play into qualifying as a mate, a healthy mate, that dating pool shrinks even smaller for black women who already outnumber black men. So you get into an interesting shit show when it comes to that. Now, if the comments are, well, black women should be open to dating even outside of their race, well, black women can decide, if they want Cal as a prospect or as a partner, etc. We have a lot of people who believe in race loyalty, and that's not just on black people's side. The white people largely date within their own race. Italians, Mexicans, etc. Most people date within their own race. They date what's familiar to them. They date according to their culture, etc. So you got all of that. I think, if anything, men and women should just do better.
go get with somebody who fucking loves you. Okay? Like if that person happens to be a different race or from another country, so what? You know what I mean? If y'all can make it work, make it work. Because at the end of the day, right, all that race loyalty shit, that dude's still gonna cheat on you. All that race loyalty shit, that woman could still empty out your bank account. Right? That race ain't got nothing to do with a man or a woman be having universal principles. You don't think you could go to another country and find motherfuckers cheating right now? Right? Like you go to whatever country, think of China, somebody's cheating on somebody. You know what I mean? So look, I get it. Some of you guys want to stick to the race loyalty. I love it. Black love, Latino love. Hey, white love, that's fine. But I Conscious, I just like women, bro. I just love women. Like, I don't care if you from the Middle East, like, just don't recruit me to ISIS and we're all good, bro. You know what I mean? Like, I love women, dog. I don't fucking care. Like, if I fall in love with you, I fall in love with you. I was just like, and women, y'all should have the same principle. A man that's gonna hold you down, guess what? All that fucking social construct bullshit is gonna transcend that. And y'all know it. Y'all know it.
You know, I never thought of myself as a race loyal person, but I have realized I've only dated within my race. I'm not largely attracted to dating men outside of my race, and maybe that has to do just with habit and familiarity. Except I don't know what proximity. I don't know what contributes to that, but I do know that when I look at other like attractive men outside of my race, I'm able to recognize them physically as attractive, but there's not an emotional resonance. There's not anything like it's all skin deep. But I'm sure that I could go into those mechanics and manually rearrange those things. But at the same time, I'm in a space where I'm not really interested in men in general. So it's not even worth the hoopla to really even figure out, because I'm good on actually not putting up with any damn man at all for the rest of my damn life. But to your point, I mean, I guess for those who are seeking partnership, like, yeah, the race loyalty is not going to save you at this point. You are outnumbered largely. So either you're going to have to actually date from the options given to you, or you're going to have to outsource for intimacy outside of the spaces you are familiar with. Because at the end of the day, to be heterosexual is to be attracted to the opposite sex in general. So why make that about race alone? If you're attracted to men, then open up a pool of men. You know, there are men, to Tyrus's point, who, of all races, who are good, but also dating outside your race will not necessarily prohibit or save you from encountering infidelity or etc. Men of other races are not in and of themselves better than black men, etc. So always do your homework, and just try to make the best choices.
Smartly increase your dating pool. That's all we can do.
Yeah, just be intelligent and just try to find it. But may the force be with all y'all asses who looking for partners, baby. May the force be with you, Luke.
Godspeed, guys. Godspeed.
Bye bye. Well, anything else? Because I've been dropping the link. It seemed like everybody is good. Any other thoughts you have about this riveting interview?
How'd you feel overall? You felt productive? Felt this convo was productive?
Oh, which convo?
With Monique. I wanted to ask you this specifically, and maybe the whole panel could talk. We could talk about this, but I wanted to ask you this specifically. Have we ever gotten a clarification of how Kevin Hart came up? Like a chronological order of how he came up.
No, it was almost 3 damn hours. I don't remember how, but because I think they were talking about Katt Williams. Yeah, they were talking about Katt Williams, because she was saying, he came through and she really don't got nothing to say because a lot of people that he called out, she got issues with as well. She done called out Steve Harvey, all these people, da 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 da, and then she started talking about some specific things that he said about those people. One of those people being Kevin Hart, and about Kevin Hart's claim or the situation with him, you know, being in LA and just kind of jumping in, and then, you know, he takes off or whatever. So that's kind of how that came about.
Okay.
Oh, why?
I was just wondering. Again, Kevin Hart is just so much smoke. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, apparently Kevin Hart is not completely genuine. As Monique said, hell, you know, apparently, you know, he told her a fib and she ain't heard back from him after he claimed he was going to make it right. So it's some weirdo shit, you know, but once again, the industry is very politicky, and God only knows, you know, what, because Shannon Sharp did ask her, like, well, what do you think happened between that time? Like, why would he just go completely left? She said, you know, I mean, I don't know. You know, I mean, I don't know. Like, I ain't heard. I'm still waiting on a return phone call. It's been 2 years since. So, either it was politics or Kevin Hart found himself as one of those people who, like,
part of the Illuminati name drop kind of shit.
Not even Illuminati, but like one of those like people pleasing people who let his mouth write checks that he ain't sincere about cashing. So maybe he jumped out of the window by making all the space and time to support Monique. Yeah, and then she made it real by taking that converation back to.
I'm actually going to take you up on that.
Comedy, and he was like, "Oh, actually, I ain't really got the time." So yeah, who knows? Who fucking knows? But the way that all of these, the way that this entire industry, also encompassing media and everything, it is very weird. It's very warped. There are a lot of things that can easily go wrong. Like, for instance, because the majority of the industry is relationship based, sometimes you do have to, like, or you feel you have to set aside your personal feelings about people in order to be able to move forward, because you may actually have to work alongside those people. You and those people may end up in the same spaces. Also, like, you can be in a situation like, for instance, like Monique, you know, gave a lot of flowers to T.S. Madison. A lot of people are in that position where it's like you also have friends in the industry who are adjacent to your enemies. They are adjacent to people who've done you wrong, and then not letting that come in between you and, you know. And so it's a lot that can go left because of just the way shit is set up. And, you know, I mean, there are people who are more sensitive, and they're going to ask you, you know, to not be cool with this one, not be cool with that one, because it's about loyalty. And then, but this is like a career field. So it's like, you know, how much room, you know, are you supposed to make for people's personal feelings and grievances toward each other? When, you know, so it just becomes nuts. Like, it's just a lot to navigate. It's a lot to try to situate and to keep yourself together in. And then the gatekeeping doesn't help. It just inflames the issues, and it's just one thing and another. It's really a journey through the jungle. It's a digital and performative jungle that we're all having to fucking navigate. And I see it on this side. Like, I see it as a, you know, just as a person in the media space, a digital commentator, pop culture critic, personality, etc. And the politics are wild. Like, I mean, you know, to navigate successfully, it does require a severe, it requires a severe level of maturity. And you know what? I kind of want to come back and talk about that. Because I kind of want to open up about some of the things that's been on my mind, you know, the past few weeks. I think that this conversation is a great segue into that conversation. But how you feel about the interview? Like, do you feel like it was productive? Like, what you think about the sit down?
I liked it. I like how she kind of was like low key and holding Shannon responsible, even though again his job is not to hold people responsible. You know what I mean? Like, but I like how she kind of like low key held his feet to the fire a little bit too. You know, some good old accountability. Mm-hmm. Like, hey, make sure you push back a little bit on these guys. You know what I mean? Like, I like that.
Yeah, she made him
overall. What's up?
She made him look in that camera a few times. Slap an address on the ninja. Yeah. Tell these folk to do right by me, or else you ain't gonna see another million views.
It's dope for Shannon to be humble enough to do it. Tyler still can't.
Why do you think Tyler refuses to vindicate Monique publicly?
Ego. Bro, you got to realize, like, and this is just sometimes position of power. I'm not going to make an excuse for it, but sometimes it's just natural law. It is what it is. Like, some people at these position of power, getting them to admit any wrongdoing is like a root canal. Okay, it's like pulling teeth. It's got to be. These guys literally will go to court to not admit guilt for some shit. They'll settle out of court just so to say their company or them does not admit any fault in this shit. They'll literally pay for it to go away. You know what I mean? So unfortunately with this, it's just nothing more than just pure ego, man.
Yeah, it's either ego or selfishness. Because
one and the same sometimes.
Because Oxtail Rent-Free is willing to toe the line and stand down, maybe Tyler is concerned about losing that endorsement and losing that proximity to Oxtail Rent-Free by actually vindicating Monique. So he's also standing down. He's basically choosing the person he feels he'll benefit from more by staying on their good side, which in this case for him is Oxtail Rent-Free.
Oh yeah. At the end of the day, they're gonna circle the wagon around their own. And their home is not other black people.
And Monique said that. Yep. And Monique said that. Monique literally said that it's in the best interest of all of us to stand on business and to call out wrong and to hold people accountable, because the same demons that you are passive toward in other people's experience are the same demons that'll be at your door sooner than later as well, because that energy and that egotism, that consciousness, it eats its own. So it's just inevitable before it's your turn. Hence Taraji, hence, all these people who are now crying out about things that other people were trying to stand on business about when it was unpopular. And everybody was scared and shook. And now the issues have become so inflamed that now you have to bust out your seams and draw attention to it because it's just gotten so bad. But these things could have been prevented had folks stood on their integrity and stood on principles. So, it's the prophecy that's coming unto fulfillment. And I hope that what we can take away from the Taraji, from the Gabrielle Union, from the Monique situation is to be preventive, not reactionary, but be preventive. And be proactive and preventive. Yep. Agreed. So there's that. How much energy do you got left in you?
I'm good, man. I'm gonna go get some water and I'm coming back.
Okay, you want to go another round? Because I want to come back and I want to talk about the micro version of the Hollywood experience as an influencer. And I want to also talk about confronting God.
We bringing the panel up for that?
Yeah, the panel is always welcome.
Hell yeah. Yeah. Hell yeah.
All right. So I'm going to create another live stream, you guys. So have your notifications set to all. We'll be back in about 5 minutes. Tyru's going to go grab him some liquid, and he's going to go and quench that thirst of his, because he real thirsty as hell, y'all. And we'll see y'all in a bit. Bye.